Welcome back. This is Arise News Channel. You're watching the morning show with me, Biola Labi. Branding is used by people, firms, countries to differentiate themselves. However, with the current insatiable appetite of consumers, how do people keep up? Joining me now are my guests, Ikwa Uko and Yomi Ojo. Thank you both for being here again.
You're welcome, Bella.
So, I want to start with you, Ikwa. The biggest thing that you've done with your blog is the appeal and the way you've constructed the message. So from day one, it's very clear what the name of the blog is, what the brand is focused on. I mean, we had your interview earlier. You said you're really focused on home cooking and really empowering the home chef, whoever that person is cooking in the home. You've been very, I mean, you have an advantage, an unfair advantage. You have been a marketing Zion in Nigeria and globally for over 30 years. What do you think made it so clear in your mind how you wanted to communicate this message of nutrition and empowering of the home? How did your background?
You know, it's like we always say in marketing, it's about consumer insight. You have to understand the consumer, then provide an offering, provide a solution. For me, today you have young ladies, they didn't have the opportunity of moms helping to teach them to cook. You know, right from 11, you're off to boarding school, and the next thing you know, university is done, and you're about to get married. Trust me, no matter how modern a young guy is, he wants his wife to be able to provide, you know, some tasty meals at home. So where can this young girl or young lady go to? Except a blog now, because she's left home, she's left mom. So that was my insight about helping to empower that lady in her home. So marketing has to start from that point. Understand the consumer, understand who you want to offer something to, and then provide a solution. That's it.
So quickly, I've always found it so interesting when you look at consumers and how consumers behave, and you look at, you're using technology,
Yes.
you're using technology to
Absolutely.
Where did you get your consumer insight from? How did you get that idea of your consumer? How did you understand your consumer?
So for us at Pintivo, the first thing is before we launched, the basic knowledge of the consumer that we have was from our own pain point. But months into after we launched, data started showing up. And the interesting thing about this is, being an online business, we gather a lot of data. So every time you visit the website, everything you do, we log it. From buttons you click, from how many minutes you spent on the website, from pages you visited, from things you ordered. We profile our customers to really, really understand why they order prints, what they use it for, where they order from, where they send it to. And those data started leading the way.
Yeah.
You know, so most of the marketing decisions that we make at Pintivo are driven by data that we get from the consumer. The consumers will always tell you what to do. It's just that they won't open their mouth and say, this is what we want. Sure. The way they behave the way they use your product, the way they interact with your service, those insights will always be there. You just need to listen enough, and then
you almost have to hear where they're not, where the
exactly,
unspoken words, And there's Henry Ford, the founder of Ford Motors, said if he had asked people what they wanted, they would have said a faster horse.
Yeah.
Because really, but what they mean is, I want to be able to get to places faster. And with Nigeria's population, 60% of our population is under the age of 35. We're really in that family rearing mode. We have a population that's exploding. For us to get the population dividend, as consumers that are watching now, you're a nutritionist. I don't think, one of the things I kind of find is people don't understand how much nutrition plays in the development of our brain, of who we are, and also prevents healthcare costs. As a nutritionist, what should young women that you're empowering now to sort of feed their family, or young men, because I think if you allow one person to be in charge of your food, you're going to be hungry. So, I mean, what should they be knowing, and what questions should they be having, what conversations should they be having around the dinner table to make sure that we're not just eating to eat, we're nourishing the mind, so that this population dividend that we have, we get the best from it?
You know, for me, today's population does not have an excuse about nutrition knowledge. Maybe I had that excuse, but there's so much, you know, there on the internet. We have to be careful as well because,
There's conflicting information.
Yeah, there's so many things on the internet. But however, you have the information there. For instance, why should I eat orange? It's there. You know, why should I include more vegetables in my diet? It's there. You know, I see diabetes, I see hypertension all over the place, and I'm seeing obesity. What is the implication? First of all, it has implication on the labor force.
Yes.
With hypertension, you're having a lot of people off in the hospitals. Diabetes, obesity, the same thing. But it's about sifting out the information. I mean, I see so many diets, obesity, and people are slapping it on the consumers' faces. But it's that thing about digging deep to understand what you're supposed to be doing. But the information is there, absolutely. The information is there.
I mean, one of the things that also happens with our food supply is actually keeping that food supply clean and healthy. What do consumers need to know, and what is the easiest way for consumers to clean their food?
You know, it's water, sometimes a bit of salt, but I wouldn't, you know, just wash things properly. But, you know, our cooking, you know, habit is such that we cook for long hours, except of course, you know, if you're, you know, eating out. But we cook for long hours, so that helps. But it's about taking care to wash. I mean, you go to hospitals, typhoid is everywhere.
Yes.
And the simple thing is about washing our fruits. And you find out that typhoid spikes when you have certain fruits in season. Because people just buy off the street and, you know, use tissue and wipe and eat. But these things have to be washed, you know, properly. It's just simple hygiene that we were taught in primary school that should apply. Wash things properly, that's it. And then cook for long hours as we do.
Printivo, you're in the business of helping the food industry. I mean, you said the food industry orders a huge amount of branding material. What is there so important about branding and communicating to consumers, especially for the food industry? And what mistakes have you seen where you're like, we're still gonna print it for you, but we would advise you not to print this? What should small businesses be thinking of?
So the first thing is, if you're in business, you are competing. You are competing for the customer's attention, you are competing on the shelf, you are competing against bigger brands, you are competing against a large volume of smaller brands as well. So if you look like everyone else, you don't have a chance. And what we've seen small businesses do these days, and it's for me, it's a good thing. There's a lot of attention being paid to branding by small businesses. And I mean, again, 90% of those businesses, I mean, a larger percentage of our small business customers are women.
Yes.
Standard. And the attention to detail, attention to branding is always there. They pay attention to things like logo, colors, and those little things that you would probably want to walk away from in those days. So it's a good thing for small businesses. However, we've seen businesses make the mistakes of, you know, getting the wrong guy to do their design, and then it gives them something that won't scale, and after a while, the business owner has to come back and say, you know what, I need to rebrand. So if you're going to do it, just do it right from the beginning. Do it like you are a multinational from day one.
Well, we're going to get some expert experience from our multinational marketer now. So here he's saying, do it like you are a multinational. What were some of the brand tenements that you always kept in mind as you were designing, even though you were designing this big brand, but you still had to talk to the same people that these small brands are talking to. So although you're a big brand, the communication, just like I mean, I feel like when I'm on your page, that accessibility, like I always feel like, I can go and do this. Like, I always feel it. I don't always do it, but it always feels accessible. I can go to the market, I can go to the store. How do you take that big brand mentality and use it with smaller brands?
Like he said, you know, attention to detail and also understanding the consumer. Some of our consumers are illiterate. So do you play up a bigger logo which they can identify with, or do you go with text knowing that they can't read this text, so what's the point? So wherever your brand is, they might just be able to identify, oh, it has a bird on it, or it has, you know, this, an icon they can relate to, maybe a moon or a star or something. So anytime they think star or they think a moon or they think that, you know, icon, they think your brand. Because, face it, many of us don't read, even for the literate ones.
Sure.
So we just go with it. You know, there's so many brands out there, you know, you see the tick, and you know what that is, without having to read anything. So, so it's that consideration, you know, colors also play a key role. You should also understand the culture. For some cultures, red might be offensive. And therefore, if you're going to sell a product in that culture, then you're careful. So many things like that. Do you go with a local language? Can the people read the local language, you know, by the way? So many considerations. So it's not just about a logo and then some nice design and some long list of things that the consumer would not even read or does not understand. Quite a lot of consideration, but back again to the consumer. Do you understand the consumer? Where's the consumer coming from? Because that's the person you're selling to at the end of the day.
And what are some of the effective campaigns that you've seen, especially when dealing with people that probably are illiterate or that you need to communicate quickly with, but you don't have that much time? What are some of the quick and effective things that small businesses could do to get their business in front of consumers?
Speak their language.
Speak the language.
Just speak their language. You don't want to speak, you have to speak the proper pidgin English when you are speaking to people who that is what they understand. If you move anything beyond that, you lose the customer, you lose their attention. Speak their language.
You know, and experience gets the last word of the day.
I always say, you know, watch what is going on in the marketplace. If you get into the open market and you see that guy selling second-hand clothes, they are fantastic at selling. They know how to animate. You know, sometimes what you need is animation in the marketplace.
They hype you.
Somebody's, you know, hanging the clothes, shaking it at you. They understand, you know, how to get the attention of the consumer. So sometimes it's to just come down to what the consumer can receive at that time and play it off for the consumer.
Oh, thank you both so much. This has been great. I wish you all the best as you build this printing, new world of printing or, you know, redefining printing. And as you continue to redefine food and really help us in how we nourish ourselves, I wish you all the best. And I can't wait to try this corn porridge. Corn porridge. It looks good. This brings us to the end of the morning show today. I'm Biola Labi. Thanks to my guests for joining me today, and have a great weekend.